start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll move to item C, approval of the motion. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, the consent agenda consisting of the regular ordinance of 9/13/21, executive sessions ordinance 9/29/21, special school board meeting minutes 9/29/21, donations, field trip requests, financial claims and reports, personnel reports. Mr. Sheldon, would you like to read the personnel report?
Okay, I'll try to make sure, hopefully I don't botch your names too bad. Okay, certified personnel, Jennifer Pickle, Lincoln Elementary School, after-school tutor, hourly certified rate, all these are hourly certified rate, and all of them are after-school tutors. Sarah Kuhn, Lincoln Elementary, Lisa Mulway, Lincoln Elementary, Sean Nust, Lincoln Elementary, Sally Smith, Lincoln Elementary, Daniel LaFoon, Monarch Elementary, Rebecca Mazer, Monarch Elementary, Dawn Sutton, Monarch Elementary, Sandra Edgett, Lake Village Elementary, Sherry Hayden, Lake Village Elementary, Samantha Nurtaugh. Okay, all those for Lake Village for after-school tutoring. Recommended for leave, Darcy Gibbons, family medical leave as a second grade teacher at Lake Village Elementary School from November 15th to January 7th, 2022. Support staff personnel, recommended for employment, Patricia Babsel, Title I support staff at Monarch Elementary School, effective October 1, 30 working day probation. Transfers, promotions, demotions, Natty Gilbert, probationary status as part-time cook at Lincoln Elementary School to permanent status as part-time cook at Lincoln Elementary School, effective October 7th, 2021. Rebecca Corning, probationary status as after-school care support staff at Lake Village Elementary School to permanent status at Lake Village Elementary School, October 8th. Taylor Ferry, probationary status as special education bus driver for the Lincoln KV bus route to permanent status as special education bus driver for the Lincoln KV bus route, effective October 9th, 2021. Charlotte Radin, probationary status as full-time cook at Lake Village Elementary School to permanent status as full-time cook at Lake Village Elementary School, effective October 10th. Samantha Port, probationary status as full-time cook at Lincoln Elementary School to permanent status as full-time cook at Lincoln Elementary School, effective October 10th. Jessica Lynn, full-time secretary at Junior Senior High School, full-time secretary split at Lincoln Elementary School, AM, and Junior Senior High School, PM, effective October 11th. Jason Pullen, probationary status as special education bus driver for the Morocco South Newton bus route, permanent status as the special education bus driver for Morocco South Newton bus route, effective October 23rd. Extracurricular personnel, Julie Decker, sophomore class sponsor, effective 21-22 school year. Trading positions. Beth Kamersky, freshman class sponsor, 2021 school year, trading positions. Michael Jameson, boys golf coach, 2021-22 boys golf season. Catherine Messersmith, 7th grade boys and 7th grade girls basketball coaches, 21-22 basketball seasons. Jessica Lynn, varsity softball head coach, 21-22 softball season. Resignations, retirements, terminations, renewal of personnel. Cesarina Planera, Morocco Elementary School, Title I support staff, effective September 20th, 21, verbal resignation. Jennifer Payne, Lincoln Elementary School, remediation support staff, September 30th, resignation. Amy Vaught, Lincoln Elementary School, special education support staff, October 1st, resignation. Janet Honkus, junior senior high school, part-time cook, October 15th, resignation. Jennifer Ficus, junior senior high school, part-time custodian, October 15th, resignation. J. Adam Kroll, junior senior high school, junior high wrestling coach, October 8th, resignation.
Okay, we approved the consent agenda and the personnel report. We ask for a motion, a second to approve.
I've got a question about the personnel report.
Go ahead.
On Jessica Wynn, that we're taking her from a full-time person and she's gonna split her day now, are we paying her mileage to go between the two schools? Oh, okay.
Here's a need at Lincoln for some extra help. And she's done a great job at the high school. We just need that extra help a little bit at that Lincoln to help, yes.
And that's permanent, or that just gonna go for, till every kind of,
That should be from now on,
okay, like next year, you know?
yes,
I thought it was just.
Unless our enrollment were to change,
yes.
high school's down.
Because when they're originally two at Lincoln,
Yes,
but their enrollment has been declining.
decline, but no.
Who's gonna take care of her other job here at the high school and during the afternoon, when she's at Lincoln?
She's in the morning, she'll be at Lincoln,
Oh, okay, in the afternoon.
and she'll come back, and so she has duties for, if she's been doing sports or that kind of thing, she'll be back for the duties. She stays about 11:30, she's got Lincoln. She's touching base at the beginning of the high school, that was her request, and then she's gonna get stuff ready, and then she'll, go help at Lincoln for a little bit, and then come back. So that's the next year.
Yeah, they don't need a full-time person at Lincoln, yes, until the enrollment levels off. Or-
And I shared a little bit with the board as far as, if I go back to 2005, the high school had 800 students. We're currently 546. So that's a big drop. We have 4 secretaries at the high school. Morocco's 221, they're at 152, so they're down a little bit, but somewhat in the same ballpark. Lincoln was 403, they're down to 285. And Lake Village was 214, they're at 193. So the high school had the biggest drop of roughly 300 students or so since 2005. And we've not really, in my understanding, changed secretaries. We had 4 secretaries at the high school.
But I've been here, yeah, the whole time, I would say, forever. We always have. I would just prefer to see a probation or temporary, just because with COVID and all the extra responsibilities, I hate for any of the schools not to have a full-time person in there helping out the principals and the staff members there. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the numbers, but the numbers have changed consistently over the years, and we've always left, the buildings with secretaries, so I would prefer to see that as a probationary, or temporary, I should say, not permanent, or a date to revisit perhaps. But that's just me.
She saw a big increase in enrollment. There's a need.
And I think, staffing is always continually evaluated, and that's kind of what we do. There needs, in a district that has 4 buildings, trying to keep 4 faculties and staffs going, there's always gonna be some fluctuation of people or movement based on student needs. And right now that need is a little bit extra help at Lincoln. Could it be more help that's needed and there needs to go back to a full-time person? Possibly. But right now, that's where the needs are with students
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, I would just like to see, we're gonna revisit it in 6 months or before the end of the school year or something, just so we know that it's not just forever, because, you know, if there's a huge need in Lincoln, then get a full-time person. Yeah.
Also, we don't need more people at high school.
I think I do.
Okay.
When you're saying permanent, you're saying for basically for the rest of this year.
For the rest of this year until
Yeah.
something changes.
Right,
Or the rest of it, but it didn't say the rest of this year, it just said,
For the foreseeable future, this is the plan. And then we will continue to evaluate, and we can reevaluate at the end of the year and see if there's a change, or maybe it becomes a couple days a week that help is needed. But there does need to be some help, that would be good.
No, I don't think you can answer my question.
no. Do you want a motion on the second first before I ask my?
we probably should.
Okay.
I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
A second,
Awesome.
you know, any more questions or discussion?
I just had 2 questions that I had asked about earlier on the vouchers. Brain Pop LLC, $5,730.75. It is a renewal of Brain Pop software. Is that for which subject? I wasn't sure which subject that was
Those
for.
are for the elementary schools.
Yes.
It's just a review of, the elementary principals are here, but no, it helps with reading that.
Okay. It was paid out of the education fund for all the elementaries. Quanto receivables, LP, $2,062.72. It is for the installation of 4 new exit signs in the upper level of the high school gym. Operations fund. Tyler Technologies, $21,396. Versantrus, transportation, upgrade and renewal, so I'm not sure exactly what that covers. It comes from ESER 2 for all the schools.
Yes, so VersaTrans does quite a bit of things, so it helps our routing software for our buses. So it lets our transportation staff see the routes and students who are picked up, helps with that. But then also, we've added a component, we've eliminated Synovia, and VersaTrans will take care of that, so we can actually track in real time where our vehicles are, all of our buses, and also pickup trucks traverse, and it'll provide real-time information. So if we have let's say a parent or a community member says, hey, I saw a bus traveling in Illinois, they're at a stop sign, we can track that vehicle and see if it did stop or didn't stop, speed, location, direction, just gives us a lot of good information about safety of our buses and how they're performing.
And then Hill Fire Protection, $7,650. It was for the exploration of the dry fire line, feeding the fire hydrants and providing a solution for bringing water to the fire hydrants out of the operations fund. So is that going to work or what?
Yes, so this is for the project, so we have, so I think the board realizes that the pool is the source of water given a fire.
Yep.
Or at least to start the water draw for the fire. And so what happens is the water is, there's a valve that's open and the water goes into the hydrants that are around the high school. Those hydrants come off of the pool water, and so that fire department can attach to those, but they can also attach inside their cabinets that can also be, will also become live if they need to take their hoses in and connect those. So there was a question as to whether those hydrants were in good working order. And so Hill Fire Protection came and tested each one of those hydrants to make sure that they could hold full pressure and they would work as required. But some of the things that got replaced in the basement of the pool room were some main turnoffs and that kind of thing. And so this was also one of those things that was evaluated to see if it was in good working order. So this just makes sure that we do have the capacity to draw the water from the pool and then the fire.
And that's just the one time they came and did it.
Yes, they did.
Very recurring. And then school fix, $1,963.25. Whiteboards from from the operations fund for Lincoln. Because everybody got didn't everybody get smart boards or something, so.
You know, just white, we're just extra whiteboards in the classroom, they're not replacing their whiteboards.
And then extra math, $1,500. Software schools site license from ESSER 3 for Morocco, Lake Village, and Lincoln. So I'm assuming there's no equivalent for the high school.
It's elementary
It's
program,
all elementary.
it's elementary
Is there
program.
something we're gonna be doing in the ESSER 3 for high school, or?
Well, but we've taken what you approved, after-school tutoring. After-school tutoring in this exactly has some information for you during board reports about the ESSER, where we're using the ESSER funds to help the high school as well. This is elementary
Okay.
class.
Because that was my other question on when we did the personnel reports. All of the tutors were for elementary. Are we not doing it to high school? There's no high school teachers.
We will, but that, I don't know if Mr. Puppy's had any interest in those or not yet.
Okay. Okay, that's all.
Are there any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna be voting no on the consent agenda because I disagree with one of the personnel reports on a parent being selected to be a coach, I guess, at this level. I'm not in favor of parents coaching at this level. And I went over this last spring and brought that to attention, and I'm gonna vote no on the consent agenda. Okay.
That's the second.
Are there any other questions or discussions on the consent agenda? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Okay, we have a tie vote.
Do you want to pull out the personnel report?
I think we're gonna have to pull out the personnel because we have to approve all our claims or our bills can't be paid. So, yes, I'll make a motion that we pull out the personnel report from the consent agenda. So that we can go back over that. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda without the personnel report?
Move to approve.
I'll second. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent report without the personnel report in it, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. I'm really not sure how we need to do this. Any suggestions?
They could vote in sections, couldn't
I do that.
they? Like the certified personnel.
Okay.
the lead.
All right, so with the personnel report, we'll go through the certified personnel first that are recommended for employment. And Mr. Sheldon read those already. So I need a motion to approve the certified personnel only on the personnel report.
Move to approve.
Second, a motion and a second. Any questions?
John,
To the second.
John? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I want to stay.
Oh, on all of them?
Yes.
4 to 1 and 1. Okay, the next area is recommended for leave. Darcy Gibbons, do I have a motion to accept that?
Then we go in all the certified,
Yeah.
so
That's
that's,
the whole group.
right, so then you go to non-certified.
I'm looking on the sheet.
So what she's saying is,
You voted on the whole certified section.
certified
Right.
personnel.
that's the certified section.
Right. As we just approved the certified portion at the top, the next one is the recommended for leave.
No, that's part of
She was required.
certified.
So we support.
Oh,
certified.
okay, I'm sorry. My correction, that is all included in the certified
Right.
personnel report, I'm sorry. We don't usually do it this way. Okay, next we'll go to the support staff personnel.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Discussion. All those in favor of approving the support personnel staff, raise your right hand.
My chart move now.
Okay. That would be Patricia Batzel, Title I support, Natalie Gilbert, part-time cook at Lincoln, Rebecca Corning, after-school childcare support, Taylor Ferry, probationary status, special ed bus driver, Charlotte Rendon, full-time cook at Lake Village, Samantha Port, full-time cook at Lincoln, Jessica Lynn, full-time secretary, changed to split secretary, and Jason Poland, special ed bus driver, permanent. Are there any other questions on that one? So all those in favor of approving the support staff personnel that I just read off, raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, going to extracurricular personnel. Which includes Julie Dickers, sophomore class sponsor, Beth Kosminski, freshman class sponsor, Michael Jansen, boys golf coach, Catherine Messersmith, seventh grade girls and boys basketball coach, Jessica Finn, varsity softball head coach. Do I have a motion? A second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? And abstained? And I believe the rest, do we need to vote for matter of record on resignations and retirements? Do you have any advisement for us,
So
Dr. Rowe?
is there a recommendation to remove someone from this list? The one I'm thinking you're wanting to remove, board policy says that the superintendent assigns staff in the district. If you'd like her, so I'm going on that board policy as such. If you would like that to be something else, then I would suggest that you remove something that you don't want with certain parameters in place, whether it's reevaluated at a certain point or what have you, but based on workload, that is my recommendation of where that help is needed. It's never popular to try and split somebody's day. But there's definitely a need at Lincoln for help. If we don't give help, that's quite a lot to ask one person to do without a little bit of help. I'm not saying these people person there necessarily every day, it needs to be a little bit of help. So there's an opportunity for someone who has time to do this, to be that help. I've been to high school, I see, I know it's not like I just things out of air, but that's my recommendation. If you would like not to do that, then I would pull that person out and make a recommendation how you like, but that's my recommendation.
I just don't feel it's really that cost effective, because if you're gonna pay the person, 40 minutes to drive from one school to the other school, and then to go back, and there's a lot of wasted time there that,
And maybe it's phrased, it's 3 days a week. 2 days a week, 3 days a week. I was.
Do we need fourth high school?
Pardon?
Do we need fourth high school?
In my opinion, no.
Huh?
In my opinion, no.
So we'll just transfer, we change it to transfer full-time to Lincoln.
Could be an option, but I don't. I would advise that.
Everybody, that is, okay.
Is there a possibility of revising it to be temporary to see how it works?
That's a
Let's
possibility.
say
You wanna just
till
say
the end of
to
December.
school year, or the end of school year to see how it works.
Or the end of December, and then if the high school is doing fine with her being on a half day, 2 or 3 days a week, and then the other, would that be a
December's not really long.
That's not very much time.
3 months?
Would it be,
That's
to go just full days, 2 days one, 3 days the other?
Possibly.
I mean,
Once again, I'm trying to help.
trying to help, I understand what you're trying to do. I
After
understand.
school to help with that, so that it's not as disruptive to what she needs to do every day.
I mean, she will be able to, she has access to the corporation computer records, so she can do some high school stuff while she's at Lincoln. You know, they have an extraordinary situation going on at Lincoln right now. That's
And in
one
the
of
high
the-
school too, we have an athletic director
Well,
that's gone. I would prefer that we reevaluate at the end of January. I would be more amenable to that, so we can see from her and from the principals where it is, but I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
Is there any work that she could do for Lincoln at the high school? You know, through the-
I think, and I respect the position you're in, so this is no way to take that any other way, but I know that Lincoln does, but I also know with what we got going on at the high school, and there's a larger population there, that I would just feel more comfortable doing through January and reassess it, so that we're not putting up too long of a stamp on there, we can kind of see where we are by then.
And the board's welcome to do that, that's fine, that was just my recommendation based on 4 secretaries in high school with 500 students, Lincoln has almost 300 with one. Elementary is a different beast, but if that's the intent, then just pull that one out and approve the others, and then someone can make a recommendation to approve a different structure, or to be evaluated at a certain point to come back. So I would suggest.
The only thing on the other thing is, we can't forget about is the, on the athletic director thing, we're hoping to have if it gets passed, somebody come in as
Yes.
temporary,
Just to help.
help out.
A few days of
But
rest.
only do very little. Not supervision, not talking to parents, only making phone calls and make paperwork, correct?
She's
Is
gonna
that
give us,
right?
she's
We can
gonna give
talk
us
about that
training
later.
there.
I just didn't see that on the agenda, right?
I can put that in, we'll talk about it, I have copies of it.
Okay, so let's go back to the support staff personnel again. And I need a possible recommendation to, a motion to approve the support staff and the personnel as is, pulling out the full-time secretary at the junior senior high school split time. And this would just include Patricia Batzel, Natalie Gilbert, Rebecca Corning, Taylor Perry, Charlotte Remdick, Samantha Ford, and Jason Cole. Do I have a motion for that?
Can we make an amendment to
And then
reevaluate her?
well, then that'll be a
That
second
separate.
motion. We have to do that separate if we pull her out.
I just want to make sure it doesn't get dropped.
No, no.
Okay.
So we have a motion for that.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion or questions on that? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Now I need a motion for the full-time secretary, junior, senior high school full-time split. The word again, but this will be a temporary trial until the end of January, and then will be reevaluated. If someone would like to make that motion.
Yeah.
You got that, Debbie? Okay. And a second? Any questions or discussions on that? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, so that's 4-1. Okay, moving on to board member administrator reports.
I'm up.
You're it.
By default. Okay. This week is usually a really fun week at high schools because it's homecoming week. And last year wasn't as fun. And now we're gonna try to make it a lot more fun. So we've got all kinds of things planned. I've been working very closely with our student council president, our student council sponsor, the last couple of weeks, kind of keeping an eye on everything. And with this in mind, our number one goal is to keep our school open. And our number two goal is to keep everybody out of masks. So we're kind of being conscientious and with things that we're doing. They've already started decorating the hallways. That's always really neat. They got dress up days as usual. Last year, I think we were able to do the powder puff game, but we are this year on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So come out and enjoy that. And then after that, we're going to try something. They used to do it here quite often. I was wanting to give the kids an opportunity to do something where it would be a lot safer than a dance. The dance makes me awfully nervous on the heels of everything that's just happened. So what we discussed was having a bonfire Wednesday after the powder puff game, and Dave Clements has graciously jumped on board. He's made all the calls, and we got everybody lined up at the fire department. Mr. Gons is going to be there to supervise, and we just thought that an outdoor activity was the main thing. We got some outdoors, and we're in great shape. So we're going to have that on Wednesday night. It also is a lot more controllable than a Friday night, and people won't go home until it gets daylight. This way, they can enjoy the evening, and then know that they got to go to work or school the next day. We won't have people kind of showing up from other places, so it's a more controllable environment for us, we thought. And then Friday, of course, is going to be a game and the halftime festivities of it come out. They've got our king, our queens and princesses all set up, so really, it's going to be a very fun week at the school. We're having a pep session again Friday afternoon. Getting kids down there, wanting to do some games and stuff, introduce and recognize all our sports teams. We got 3 cross-country runners moving on to regional. We can recognize the volleyball and football teams before we move on to, and golf teams, in front of everybody, and we're looking forward to that. So we're trying to really set up a situation where the kids get to enjoy themselves again, get to experience that high school life. And we also discussed, because of the dance, I know they really would like to have dance again. What we're kind of discussed right now is actually creating and having a winter homecoming. We've seen that done quite a bit after a basketball game, where you may have, a king and princesses on that side, but then have a dance after that. So right now in January, we're kind of shooting for, if things stay the way they are right now, we've really settled that down, where it's a lot better. We keep that up, then we can create something new to have every year for a winter homecoming. So we could have a fall and a winter, but we're looking at maybe having that dance a little bit later. So a lot of good things going on there. We're excited to be somewhat normal after 2 weeks ago. So anyway, thanks for all the support and kind words and everything else.
Thank you.
Hey, Raj, I'd like to thank you. I know you guys got a lot going on there with Atwood stuff, and you guys haven't complained one bit. It's nice to for somebody to step up and do what you guys are doing, so I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the prayers, concerns, and thoughts, and we can feel the vibes of everybody coming in to help us out. Mr. Taylor and I we just take what's next. So we appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have some feedback from the principals who are able to be here. So this is from Ms. Hakins. PTO is working on our book fair this week. One of our favorite things, Harry Potter, will now open, we will be open now until October 20th. We are engaging students in various experiences as well. Our fifth grade students got to experience Feast of the Hunter's Moon on Friday, and our kindergartners will be attending Fair Oaks Farms the 21st. As we come to the end of the first 9 weeks, we've accomplished so much. We started off rocky with so many students out, but are hopeful to keep students in school learning. I am learning more through IPLI, and I have teacher leaders working alongside me. These leaders at Lake Village and Lincoln have decided to use this knowledge from IPLI to look at our instructional practices and create an instructional framework that will be ongoing discussion among teachers and administration. We look forward to collaboration and goal setting. Ms. Cody is setting up our student council, and students are campaigning for leadership positions. A student, our currently nominated legacy winner Cash, came to me and asked if he could get some friends together and work on an anti-bullying team that would help inform others to look out for bullies, how to be a supportive bystander, and make others feel welcome. From Mrs. Laubach, she apologizes, she was at TCI training today and she wasn't able to be here. Morocco is wearing masks and the students are doing very well, so we're continuing with our book of the month, and Dr. Rose, our guest reader for Be a Planner. She read The Very Busy Spider. The students really enjoy our guest readers. We have now started data meetings and talking about student progress. Teachers are setting goals and working with students to make those too. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up next week, and we're excited to see the students talk about the great things the students are doing. Some of the things you have at your table that I've given you are a green and blue sheet that's updated with October 7th. Remember that a couple weeks ago I gave you an absentee report for days so that you can determine how many of our students are close contacts and then how many of our students are absent, quarantined for symptoms, parent or otherwise. So at October 7th, as you can see, our numbers, we have 50 students on that date for close contacts. All other absences were 72. Next sheet you have is a blue sheet that has our membership over the years, past most recent years. Our most recent membership for account date is 1176.26. So you can see in the blue, those should be our dates for funding for students. The next one you have is a survey. Mr. Craig Lagoon is our technology director. He asked that we send this out to parents, and we appreciate 223 people who participate in the survey. He's looking at a grant that would fund iPads for a swap-out replacement, so you would have to pay for the iPads, but we would receive the funding for that. So the question is, does every school-age student at home have access to their own computer so they can participate in remote learning or completing homework at the same time? So 42.5% of our community said yes, they have a device, and 57.5% said no, they do not have a device. The second question was, do you have internet access in your home that is sufficient to allow each school-age child to simultaneously participate in online classes with video? And so 74.3% said yes, and 25.7% said no. So we'll use that information to pursue a grant. The next sheet you have is state tuition support for ADM. The question was asked last school board meeting, what is our basic support, our student basic grant? For complexity is added, so from July 2021 to June 22, our basic grant per student is roughly $6,639.77. You can see how historically that's changed over the years.
And the state changed that this year too, correct?
That's the
They
current
upped it,
funding
yeah.
that they've given to schools, yes. You also have ISBA flyer, the fall regional meetings. If you're interested in going, please let me know and I will register you. I believe this Greg has expressed interest. If any of you are interested, please let me know and I'll register you once again. Other information, as of our last meeting in Morocco is at the point of 1%, and none of the other buildings are at 1% or over, so none of the other buildings are required to wear masks. Morocco will fall off of masks right after fall break. Fall break is October 22nd to the 25th. 20th is parent-teacher conferences. The information should be sent out to parents, so hopefully parents can sign up for those. Mr. Kaufman talked about homecoming week. We will be needing to have a tentative agreement with the board when we reach a tentative agreement with our collective bargaining agreement. So just kind of want to put you on notice that we may need to have a quick meeting, probably right after fall break, just to have that tentative agreement meeting. Casper Newton Foundation has given North Newton and South Newton $100,000 for some social emotional learning professional development. And we're currently in talks with South Newton to kind of revamp what that looks like so that it would support a counselor for the two districts, an additional either social worker or other counselor. So we're still working on that.
They were talking about splitting the days, correct? With that person, and that grant would cover two years.
We have to go back and kind of, we have to do some work with that.
Yeah, but
$100,000 doesn't go very far.
I think tentatively, that's what they were talking about, that it would cover, and that's from Lily.
That's Casper Newton Foundation money, yeah, but she
Yeah.
reports to Lily.
So that would be the next person in here for a couple of years.
Mrs. Neal will continue to be out through the 1st of December. I believe we're still working on paperwork but she's not on the report, but we're still working on getting clarification that she will still be out till probably around the 1st of December. And then we wish both her and Mr. Atwood good health, as Mr. Atwood is out for a few weeks yet. And so we wish both of them speedy recoveries. I have some information on esports. An update from Mr. LaFoon. He's been helping teach a class at the high school. He also is our esports coach, I guess. He said competitions are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, starting at 4. On Monday night, we had 2 teams compete in Valorant, with the blue team getting the win against Lafayette Jeff, and our orange team losing to Carmel High School. Our chess player, Arvin Polinsky, placed 3rd in the chess tournament. Tuesday night is Rocket League and Tetris. In Rocket League, our blue team has a bye, and our white team won against Logansport High School. In Tetris, our 3 players had 3 wins and 3 losses, placing in the middle of the field. Wednesday night is Forza 7. After many attempts by the coordinator to get the race started, they eventually had to postpone the races and kept crashing. On Thursday, we had Super Smash Bros. Ultimately against Cedar High School. Our SSBU team took home the win. Starting today, Monday, October 11th, we start the whole week again with competitions tonight, tomorrow night, racing Wednesday, and SSBU on Thursday. And then I have some pictures I can put on our website or send those along. That's all I have.
That's great. Mr. Sheldon, you have some.
Yes, sir, a couple thank you notes. Thank you for the wind chimes and flowers at my mom, brother, and father's funeral. We appreciate your thoughtfulness during a tough time in my life. Audrey and Dan from the Combs family. And the other thank you note is from thank you for a beautiful plant, Kim Matlock.
We'll move on to recognition. I think we have some kids that have been waiting. Sorry, it's taking some time. First, we have Cash Kaczynski. Cash Kaczynski is in the 6th grade at Lake Village Elementary School and was nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Mindy Negri, and the principal, Mrs. Kristen Hankins. Cash has faced a physically challenging year with a leg injury. Despite the numerous challenges he faces, Cash strives to remain accomplished in all of his schoolwork and his social endeavors. Cash has a positive impact on the people and places he encounters. Ultimately, the story of Cash's challenges and success are a great example of his individual legacy. Cash has definitely left his mark or legacy on Lake Village. Cash is a 6th grader at Lake Village, and in time I have known him, he has shown grace, integrity, honesty, and compassion in all he does. Cash continues to work hard, be kind to others, and persevere through challenges. It hasn't been an easy road for him, and Cash handles it all on his own. He will be missed at Lake Village next year, but I know he will move mountains at the junior high too. Next, we have Hazel Lemon. Hazel Lemon is in kindergarten at Lincoln Elementary and was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Monica Dulles. Hazel is an amazing kid who embodies numerous amazing qualities. She is so kind, helpful, responsible, and just an overall amazing kid. I truly am privileged to have her in my class this year. I'm so proud of all the things I have seen so far, and I can't wait to see how much she grows and learns this year. I look forward to witnessing all the amazing things Hazel is going to do in the future. Lincoln is sure lucky to have such a great kid as a Lincoln Eagle. Keep up the great work, Hazel. You will do great things in life. Next, we have Carson Linares. Carson is in sixth grade at Untitled Elementary School and was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Danielle Laffoon, and the principal, Mrs. Christine Wabach. Carson is a student who leaves an impression and is proactive in helping others. She is always respectful and tries her best. She is a student who gets along with almost everyone and is willing to work with anyone. She holds her leadership job well and is making sure students are doing what is expected of them in a kind way. Carson has definitely made an impression here at Morocco. Carson has also been a delightful addition to Morocco. She is kind and caring and is one who will help others. She is very dedicated to doing her best and is setting goals to be successful. Carson will be successful in all she does as she does not give up. I am proud of her leadership ethics and look forward to seeing her grow a lot this year. Did I give you two? One. Papers stick together. Brianna. Brianna Anderson is in the 7th grade at the North Newton High School and was nominated by her teachers, Mrs. Leanne Brandt and Miss Linda Kimmel. Brianna Bree is an excellent example of Spartan pride. She has a great attitude and works hard to give her very best. She is quiet, kind, and has a positive attitude. Bree comes to class prepared to learn. She is attentive in class and is a great asset to class discussions. She has a very strong work ethic and took the initiative to get all of her work done when circumstances forced her to do online classes. North Newton is lucky to have Brianna Anderson to help make our school a better place. Keep up the great work, Bree. And last but not least, Madeline. Madeline Aaron Holtz is in 11th grade at the North Newton High School and is nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Audrey Combs Long. Mrs. Long says Madeline is an outstanding student, athlete, and a role model. Madeline is a joy to have in class and an asset to the school extracurricular activities. North Newton is lucky to have such a determined student. Good job, all of you. This is the time when the meeting goes on and parents feel they need to get their children home. We understand. Excuse Okay, item number 5, non-action items, the first reading of board policies. Dr. Rilla.
So policy 2266 is a new policy from the regarding section 9, or title 9, non-discrimination on the basis of sex and education programs. And so I would ask that the board review this, and then at the next meeting, we'll adopt the policy.
All recommendations from the OLA.
Yes.
This is all new.
Yes.
Got that to look over to our next meeting. Item 6, action items, the 2022 budgets resolution for appropriations and tax rates. Is that good?
Thank you. At our last board meeting in September, we had our board hearing as required by law. The budget has to be approved by November 1st according to state law. I'm asking the board to go ahead and approve the 2022 appropriation tax rates. Again, these are the maximum that can be, they can always come down depending on what our assessed valuation is. So, or like debt service tax rate.
We have a request to approve the 2022 budgets resolution for appropriations and tax rates.
Move to approve.
Second. I'll second it. Any questions or discussion?
So it's not gonna raise anyone's taxes currently, is
Well,
that correct?
this assessed value, well, hopefully not. I mean, it depends on the assessed valuation. What you see in the resolution has the $1.31. That is based on 85% of the assessed valuation of this year, which is what the LGF recommends that we advertise. Now, since I've been here in the 24 years, I think there's only been 1 or 2 years where our assessed valuation went down. It's normally increases, so I'm not expecting the tax rates to go up. But I don't do the assessing, so I
Right.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
control
Control
that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
goes to the county assessor, correct?
Are there any other questions or discussion?
I have a couple questions.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So for, in the budget, attendance services, last year it had 29,425, and this year projecting it or requesting 33,395. I was just wondering what the jump in that is attributed to.
Salaries and fringe benefits, it's just, it's all only salaries and fringe benefits and attendance services.
Okay, and that's the same for pupil accounting
Yes.
as well? And nurse services? Last year was 22,817, this year it's 52,345.
There's some salaries, fringe benefits, and then there's also nursing supplies that is purchased out of that category.
And is that also too, because we have our health aides at the elementaries went to full-time, correct, instead of part-time? I'm assuming that that's part of that in there.
And any increases too, have to kind of figure out, that we would be getting raises too, during election, so there's gonna have to be some adjustment for that. And then,
And when we're dealing with the budget, you have to estimate that there's going to be increases in insurance, because at the time when we're advertising, we don't know what our health insurance is going to be at the time, or our dental insurance and stuff. So we have to have enough there so that we don't get to the point where, so we gotta start making cuts.
because you're better off being over,
Yeah.
is what you said.
You don't have to spend the money, it's like a credit.
Right.
But if you don't have the appropriations to do it, you can't spend.
It's better to overestimate rather than underestimate.
And so the things that we had adopted last month, and we voted on capital projects. So that is in here listed under operations, is it listed under his? When I looked at last year's budget, 2021, there were still some capital projects listed in here. Or it says capital outlay or things like that, like those things that we voted on for the capital projects last month, the 3-year plan.
We didn't vote, we just had a hearing.
Okay, but those are in here in which categories,
Bill.
I'm asking.
They're in operations, they're, all 46,000, 47,000 is equipment, 45,100 is, building improvements. That's where the capital projects, 49,000 is emergency, that's when, a well goes out and you have to replace it, that's where you would take that out of.
There was, I don't remember, there was that 3-year plan of capital projects, I just was wondering where that is listed in the budget.
That's where it's listed.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone?
I don't have something.
Anyone else have any questions or discussions? If not, all those in favor, raise their right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Item B, the 2022 capital projects plan resolution to adopt the capital projects plan.
Thank you. This is the resolution to adopt just that capital project that we had a hearing on at the last meeting. The purchase of the tractor and then various things for the 3 years that we're planning at this point to do. And asking that the board go ahead and approve the capital projects plan.
Here we have a recommendation from the staff to request approval of the 2022 capital projects plan resolution to adopt the capital projects plan.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I was just wondering last month when we talked about, I had the list of everything here, and I didn't see a tractor in there anywhere, so I was just confused.
It was on the first page of the plan. It was, so you have to list things that are individual things that are going to be over 10,000. It was on the first page. It's just like one item on the page.
The other way.
The other way.
Okay,
Just
I saw
below.
that this time, the lawn tractor, but this is what I had from last.
No, it was,
It's on, it was in.
I just saw the flooring, paint, exterior, security upgrade window, and all that. I didn't see the tractor in there. That's why I was confused.
no, because I read it all. I can go back to that meeting if you want to.
So what's the plan?
That we talked about what was on there last month, and I didn't see the tractor, so I was just wondering where it was, so I was just confused. Because we got a 3-year plan, and I didn't see that listed anywhere. That's all. And then the 2021 that we approved in
It was listed, it's on page 2.
2020.
I'm back to September, it's listed right there.
I have that from this month.
No, this is, I
It's
just went
the
back.
same.
This is September, it's the same guy. It's September 13th.
Okay.
Maybe you just.
So I just missed
print out.
it, so whatever I printed out, it looked like this.
Or
So that's
it's on
why I
the
was
page.
confused, because that's what I saw. Is that replacing a tractor we had, or
It's to have an additional.
additional one?
That was the recommendation of the maintenance department.
Any other questions or discussions? Not all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Item C, 2022 bus replacement plan, resolution to adopt bus replacement plan. Ms. Eckert.
Thank you, and this is to adopt the 5-year school bus replacement plan. The hearing was the last month, and this board, the plan for this, for 2022 is to sell 3 buses or trade 3 buses and just purchase 1 bus. And since we have more, our fleet is bigger than what our needs are right now, so we're downsizing the fleet.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the 2022 bus replacement plan resolution to adopt the bus replacement plan. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Affidavit for payment number 11. Ms. Eckert.
Thank you. I have an affidavit for payment, and I don't remember the sorry, I did not print it out and bring it with me. It's sitting on my desk, and it's over under 45.
$145,383.46 for performance services.
The majority of it is the pool, and then also for landscaping here at Morocco. And I think that's about And that landscaping was in the original quote, it's not, it wasn't a change order.
There's a couple trees in the iceberg bed out here. We're still landscaping up for buildings and anything that needs to happen. Most of it is the pool, finishing up the pool is kind of 95%. So, there's still some just minor things that need to be taken care of, but hopefully we can just fill, as we see, do small little things like
And that's gonna be the board to go ahead and approve that, so we can forward it to Regions Bank or trustees.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the affidavits for payment number 11 performance services. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
any more discussion?
Is the pool being used yet, or is it still?
still not, you can't use it yet.
But it's full of water. It's not leaking. It's good. Yeah, you can't tell our day. It's been outside.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, resolution to transfer appropriations, Ms. Akia.
Thank you. This is a resolution to transfer some appropriations in the education fund. We had a couple pre-appropriations that were, one program that was, didn't have enough appropriations budgeted, so we need to make the transfer.
Okay, we have a recommendation to transfer appropriations within the education fund. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A second, any discussion? Not all those in favor, raise their right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Out of district student transfer request, Dr. Rowe.
Have a request for 2 students to be transferred to either district who live outside of the district. Asking your approval this time.
We have a recommendation for 2 out of school district transfer requests.
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion and a second, is there any discussion? Not all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Early graduation requests.
You have a request from a student at the junior senior high school to graduate early. Attached are all of the documents showing that this student, upon completion of the classes that she's currently enrolled in, is on track to graduate midterm. So I would ask your approval to let her graduate pending her completion of the courses she still needs to complete.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve of early graduation request. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise their right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Item H, dual credit course memorandum of understanding with Ivy Tech, Dr. Rowe.
You have a copy of an MOU from Ivy Tech for Intro to Ag. It's currently taught by Mrs. Tarter, so this is just allowing her to teach under the auspices of Ivy Tech for students getting a dual credit by her teaching the class here at Northfield.
Good for our kids. We have a recommendation to approve the dual credit course memorandum of study with Ivy Tech. We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Not all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item I, Administrator Assistance Agreement Contract. Dr. Rowe.
Okay, you have in your board docs, you should have two agreements for administrator assistants. So at the beginning of the year, Mrs. Neal, let's try to take one at a time. Mrs. Neal had planned on being out just 2 days a week. She was hoping that she could do her chemo on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and she could return that following week and take her 2 weeks off and then go back the 2 weeks later and do her chemo, so that did not affect school. She wanted to do that for the students, that she it for herself, knowing that it would help her stay motivated to be there. Her doctor advised probably mid to late September that it was not feasible for her to do that. The type of treatments would not be conducive to her being able to return as she had planned. So you have a request to have Mr. Aaron Floyd. Aaron Floyd is a former superintendent principal who's retired since retired. He's been a interim here, I believe, several years ago. He was at KB several times, lives in KB. He's willing to help us through this time. He's able to help through Thanksgiving. And so we're appreciative that he's able to be there to help during that time. Mrs. Neal should hopefully come back the 1st of December if all goes well. That's her wishes to try and come back at that time. The second one I gave her is uploaded for you. If you need a copy of that, have copies, is for help for the high school staff. Mr. Atwood is currently still not able to be here. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks he'll be able to return, but that's still in question too. So for Iron, his contract would be pretty much every day until he's no longer able to be here. The other one, the AV help would just be 3 days a week. If you don't need 3 days a week, you can come 2 days a week. You can come 1 day a week. You don't have to come at all. It's whatever the needs are at the high school. It's an opportunity to help the high school staff with some.
Did Mr. Taylor did AD and vice principal last 2 years ago, correct? He did
Since
both?
I've been here, he's
Well, he did both at one time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so then we hired an athletic director. Did his pay go down from that? So he did both, kept the pay.
So this is on an as-needed basis, the second, correct?
Right. I know Mr. Taylor's done quite a bit too. I know Mr. Coffey's helping too. So, if they don't need him, they don't have to use him. It's just if they need him, but, I know they're putting a lot of extra hours to help do some things to get things ready, and it's just opportunity to help.
I agree.
So the gentleman, Mr. Is a Rob Tulikian, so he is a former AD at West Lafayette, and then, but he has experience being an athletic director. Retired also.
So these are all the people to contact or scheduling on whatever they
Right.
need to do.
Yeah, there's definitely needs to be help out there. I mean,
And there's no certain time frame on this one.
No, if Mr. Atwoods can come back Monday, then we don't need him at all. And both that's with Mr. Floyd as well. If Jennifer says, hey, I can come back, whatever, it's a daily thing. It's not like we're locking in and telling him to be here for a certain period of time.
Oh, I thought I seen on his system November 30th.
Well, that's when he can't do it.
Or as needed by the school, it says
Okay.
too. Because he postponed his trip, right,
Mr. Floyd,
to
yes,
Florida,
yes,
just to be here to
Yes.
help out. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
Okay.
So both these are just as we need them, as they're able to. I know both of them have things that come up. Mr. Floyd has something that comes up right before, I believe it's before or after fall break, so he won't be here, but he has the capacity to be here pretty much every day that we need him. And then Mr. Tulikian we schedule just 2 or 3 days a week. So we don't even know.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the administrator assistant agreements for the interim principal at Lincoln and the AD at North Newton. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
We'll just give it to both of you. Paul first, Kevin second.
Perfect.
We'll do the second thing.
No, you, Diane, can do it together.
They did it too, but they should.
First and second.
First and second.
Oh, who's first?
Who's that?
If you want to be first, you can
I-
just Debbie
Oh,
quickly.
His mouth is a little fast. Is there any discussion? not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to public expression. The guidelines say state your name, only oral presentations, all handouts must go through the administration office. of the superintendent. Board members will not respond to comments, only comments deemed reasonable by the board president will be allowed. All comments must be directed toward board members only, all comments must be 3 minutes or less.
I'm Kathy Hahn. And I, of course, heard all your discussion, and I just want to point out things since I'm, of course, well versed in what you were talking about. And I did come from Lincoln, I did first before being at the high school, so I have a little bit of a acquaintance with that. Consider the grade level you're talking about and the situations when tensions get hot. There were lots of times that I had to make sure I got coverage for, I won't call it coverage, assistance for fights, calling the police for an assistant principal that maybe had a kid out of control in their room, and different situations where I understand elementary would have problems too, but you can usually handle it and not be as dangerous as you are at a high school level. I would have people tell me they would get upset when phones weren't answered live, and so now you're putting a situation where there's not a person that's always gonna be there to be able to answer a phone. Yes, it might jump to somebody else, but that doesn't, it's not gonna get people where they want, or they're not gonna have, the person answering it won't have as much information. Simply maybe just saying, is your principal in today? Well, they might have to say, I'll get back to you, because I can't look over there, I can't check, I can't, I'm not on that side. And the 4 secretaries, I don't quite understand that. I know you can't answer me, but I know they've always called our treasurer at the high school a secretary, although she's always been totally responsible for her treasury duties, so she couldn't really do secretary duties. And once the remodel took over, even if she'd like to come and help out, it secluded the main office to the other side of the building, or not the other side of the building, the other hallway. And it would make people give comments about how they thought we were so unfriendly or it wasn't a warm environment. And so if you don't have somebody at least sitting in that area that they can talk to and be greeted by, it's really gonna seem like an unfriendly environment for parents or, anybody coming in such as that. Discipline was the big thing over on that main part, and lots of times, teachers relied on there being somebody down there. Even if there were no administrators in the building, they knew that they could send a student down there and the secretary would handle it until, something could be done. And when it was remodeled, that was made with a viewing room from the principal's office, the assistant principal's office, and the secretary's desk, so that you could have sort of like a holding area for a hostile kid or somebody that was maybe just needing cool down. You always have to take into account your special needs kids, how many do you have and what are their disabilities. And so you won't have anybody there always. Many times administrators, all 3 of them could be out of the area because they had duties or they were going to meetings together, maybe coming here. And so, then your secretary's got to take over to make sure that building's still running because who else is going to do it? And your other side with student services, they're very busy because now they have the main doors and that's constant traffic. And it's all women over there, so if you have a brawl breakout or something, hopefully, they'll be able to get in touch with somebody. I always had a backup plan and I knew which teachers I could call on or ex-administrators that were teaching and things like that you don't always think of. So you're going to be putting more stress and strain on every person in that building, and that makes them unhappy, your teachers and your administrators that are going to have to be not having somebody they can rely on to get them through with problems that they might have or extra duties that might have popped up, especially I know with all this COVID stuff, I can't even imagine that. We have a lot of locked doors. So what happens when, you need doors to be unlocked and things to be taken care of? Your subs that come along lots of times, they especially need assistance, and it used to always be from the main office. New person in the building doesn't even know how to get around the building. That job was always considered to be the person who had to take care of that. You have your K time, you always had to take care of K time things. And that other people relying on you to make sure that their payroll information is getting done correctly. Sometimes you might say you can get it done from another building, but lots of times you really have to be there in person. So I hope that when you reevaluate this, and it would be nice to maybe take into account the person that it's really affecting too, and the people that they work with. Other than it's easy to sit in a place and just count numbers, because numbers don't have the needs of the actual people, because you could have one special needs kid that'll equal 5 unspecial needs kids and so forth. So basically, that's what I'm here to just explain to you, to realize that I considered it an important thing, and even though your numbers might be down, you're still gonna need a body there that can take care of a lot of the day-to-day things, and the unexpected things, and the emergency calls, and just making sure when a room calls you and says, hey, we never had a teacher or sub show up, you gotta handle things like that you don't expect at spur of the moment. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Not, this meeting is adjourned.
I know, right?
Hey, good to see you. I'm doing great. How about yourself? Yeah, that's good. And your daughter looks like wonderful, wonderful as usual. Yeah. Yeah.
I think somebody put that on Facebook.
Secretary when I was in school.
I was really good.
They have a lot of. I like Lisa.
That is hard.
Yeah, well, I was in school. Passed away, Jamie Ludwig's.
I wasn't gonna put myself in a room with that many mouth breathers.
Darlene, that's what secretary we had. So we had
Not
Anderson in
given,
there for guidance.
What was